Welcome to Chayil Conversations, and I am excited tonight, and you will be. So I want you to call friends to watch tonight. I want you to comment because this is a conversation. I'm going to be talking to my guests, but we're talking to you as well. So we want you to comment. We're here. We're going to be answering. If you have any questions, if you have a prayer request, you need to write to us so that we can be able to serve you and continue. So this is exciting. We are welcoming all of you, and I'm excited tonight because my guest is Mr. Eric Reed, and wow, this man is a powerful man. When you hear his story, you will know how great God is. And so tonight the topic is the desperate cry of a boy, and you're going to hear how this little boy, his life, where he grew up, and how he cried unto God and God saved him. And so it's a powerful testimony. So remember, keep the comments going. Share this with us because it's important. This is such for the glory of God. So we need you to share it with us, like us, subscribe to us, and get friends ready and create your watch party. Get the family ready. If you have teenagers in your home, get them to watch with us because this will affect all ages. So Eric, I am so excited that you're here tonight. And when I hear your story, I said we have to talk about this. So the first thing I want you to tell us is about your childhood. Where were you born and what kind of place were you born into?
Well, I was born in Jamaica, and I was born into a ghetto, which was a violent community. And I grew up in that community. And growing up in that community, I see so many things that's scary for children, for you to see. And it's not something that you want your young children to see being in that environment.
And so you're talking about, when you talk about the community, you're talking about there were gangs in the community.
Yes, yes.
And this is a very good topic now, Eric, because even in the GTA area, we're having a lot of gang violence now and shootouts, and you know, young adults are going to clubs and they're getting killed and stuff. So this is very timely that we're talking about it. So growing up in that area, what are some of the scary things you will see or hear as a child?
Well, you hear of people getting killed, and you see people being shot.
So you literally saw the guns yourself? People with guns?
Yeah, yes, see people with guns.
This is not watching TV with cowboy and Indians. What you're talking about, you're seeing the real thing.
You're seeing the real thing, and they're not afraid to brandish their gun. They walk as if there is a Western. They have it on their hip, sometimes they have it in their hands, and they're not afraid to show it.
And you said as a child there was a scary thing that happened to you once, and even your mom was scared too, and she had to come and try to get you out of the school or whatever. What happened, one of the scary things that you experienced as a child?
Well, there was a gang violence going on, and I was at school, and being a young child at school, that's scary for a mom when gunshot is firing and gang violence is going on.
So you're hearing the gunshot.
So you hear the gunshot, and the teachers are keeping in the class, but in that sense now my mother has to come because it's a scary thing because you're a young child, so she don't want to lose her child because when shots are firing, they call it stray bullets, so you can get hit.
Yes.
So she comes and risks her life to come and get me out of school and take me out. And I remember she's taking me out and she's taking me down the street. I see a man at the corner with a gun in his hand. So that was a scary thing to see.
Wow. So all of that was around because again, even in Toronto here, we hear of kids being killed just because they're in the playground area because of the bullets. And we want to welcome Tania and Karen and Jermaine and Susan Toledo, all the way from Saskatoon, and all the different peoples that are watching from Indonesia, from Toronto, from America. Welcome. Tonight we're here with Eric Reed, and we're talking about the desperate cry of a boy. So as a child, you grew up in a very fearful aspect. So the gangs, was it in several communities? Like you were in a different community? How does it work?
Well, I have my community that I live in where the gangs are, but then you have other communities out there where there are different gangs also is in their community.
So they have their own community.
So they have their own community. They have their own. It's like their own corner or their own dwelling place.
Their own territory.
Yeah, but they all are friends with each other. But it's just that they have different locations.
So they are friends too.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're not always fighting.
They're fighting, but there's other community now that are beyond that now where they fight with each other.
Okay.
So
when you have the gang fights then happen, then anybody in the community is at risk.
Yes.
In that community.
Yes.
So were your family, like you had how many brothers?
I have from my father's side I have 5 brothers.
5 brothers.
Yes.
And from your mother's side?
I have there's 4 of us.
Okay, so there's 9 totally siblings. Is that it?
Well, from my father, these are different from different women. So with my mother, she have seven of us, which is 5 boys, 2 girls.
Wow.
Yes, and so with from my father's side now, he has apart from me, he had another 5 and a couple girls. So.
Okay. So you have your own school,
Oh.
about 12 or so.
Yes.
That you know of.
that I know of. Yes,
and because it wasn't a typical family, it's not like marriage, and it's not like, it was a challenging thing for you. And so when you look at that now, that scary thing that happened around school, what are the things, because we're going to talk about the desperate cry.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us something else again that happened again that make you realize that this is not good, it's not safe. Another incident that you can think of.
Well, another incident is where when my mom take me home after school, and we looking to get into the yard with the gate, there was a bus that was crashed into the gate, so we couldn't get in. And so someone has to jump in the bus and move the bus so that we can get in. That was how violent it is. When they get violent, everything just go chaos.
Even cars and bus and everything.
Yes, bus driver run out of the bus, leave the bus empty just to take cover because they don't want to get shot.
Wow. So then, what about the police? Was the police in that come and help? And
well, when the gangs are fighting, sometimes the police them don't even want to come because they have a powerful weapon than they do. So a lot of times
the gangs have more powerful weapon than the police.
Yes.
Wow.
So because of that, they don't come. So what they do is wait till when everything is died down, then they come. When everything is all settled down, then they come to see what
people shot, people killed.
Yeah, who's dead,
and try to figure that out.
And try to figure that out.
Yeah. So you said the gangs also had power, like they have their own law, their own system.
Yes.
Of punishment and everything. Tell us about that kind of system.
Which you don't know how that works because they themselves is a gang. They have the law to
their own law. They have their own operation.
So in that now is that if someone catch stealing, they will bring them into the community for them to deal with the matter.
The gang, the leader of the gang, and they will have their own discussion and judgment and jury. Yeah.
So it depends on the crime. So like for someone steal something. I remember one time they brought these 2 guys and they were caught for stealing, and they brought them and they execute judgment as to shoot them in the foot.
Wow.
That was the
judgment.
That was the judgment, so that they don't steal again.
So they have their own process. I don't even know how to call that because they themselves are in crime, and yet they're punishing against crime.
Yes.
And we want to visit those that are watching us from Thailand. Welcome. And so they shoot them in the foot, and then they would go to the hospital.
Yes.
But they report that they're shot.
Yes.
So the police has to be involved, or
they can't say anything.
They can't say anything.
They don't want to say anything. They're not going to say who did it because then that would only lead to more further.
Wow. So as a little boy, you really felt you wanted to get out of this.
Yes.
And your brothers were involved, or what family members were involved in the gangs itself?
Well, they weren't involved in because at that time they were still themselves young. So but they were among them, the gang members. So they already been groomed being a part of that. Later on, one of them get into it later on when he got older. Yeah, when he got older.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did they try to recruit you?
No, they didn't recruit me. I mean, when I go to visit my brother in those areas, I have my aunt who live in those areas. So when they see me and I go and visit them, sometimes I go visit my aunt and they say, where you coming from? I say, go look for my brothers. And they say, don't follow your brothers. Don't be like them, So keep away from them. Don't follow their behavior.
So you had aunts that were helping you to protect you from getting into that lifestyle.
Yes.
Because normally when your father and brothers in that lifestyle, you naturally want to be in that lifestyle.
Yes.
But you didn't get into it. You didn't somehow. You were protected.
But the temptation is there. Not to say the temptation is there. Yeah. That you see, and your brothers them is there, and it inspires you because they're doing it, and it looks like something to get respect unto, because the whole community and people look up onto you in the community because they know you and they know you're this type of person in the gang. So the temptation is there.
So these gang leaders are respected in the community, like you said, eh?
Yes. Yes, because they're the one who's like, they see them as the one who protect the community.
So do the people have to pay for protection then, or you just
No, they don't pay for protection, but the people who own stores are outside of the community, because the community is like a shopping area, like, so they have shops there that people have their business,
right?
And so those people now will pay them
for the protection,
for the protection, because they don't want the stores to be broken into.
Wow.
And if they don't pay, some of them stores can be burned down. So
wow.
So
this is a kingdom, man. You have people ruling and protecting and stuff. The police are not there. So when you think of it then, Eric, with all that is happening, your mother at one time too, she suffered from mental illness.
Yes.
What happened with your mother at that time? Like what happened there with your mom? Because then you have the brothers and all of that in the gang. That is scary, right? And now your mother got ill, and she had mental illness.
But these brothers was from my father's side.
So they didn't live with you.
So they didn't live with me. So my mother now.
So how many children were living with you?
That now was three of us. That was
living together with your mom. That's all.
Together, because she at that time was four of us. She had at that time.
I see. Yes. And so how she got ill? Yeah. And what kind of illness was that now?
It was kind of a mental, a spiritual attack where she'd be ironing something and do something, and she just start yelling, don't bother me, leave me alone, and she just went out into the street and just get out the house, and we didn't know what to do because we were kids, so we don't know what to do, and we don't know where to get help.
Wow. So you can imagine children living in this atmosphere, the gangs, shootouts, gunshots, and you have to hide under the bed, hide anywhere, come from school, living with that terror there. And then the safety at home, the mother now is having mental illness, screaming, running out in the yard. You can imagine the trauma in a child living in that atmosphere, the fear. What is the future? How can you get out of that? And so then you had a grandmother now, who seemed like she was maybe the strongest, more together one in the family. Was she?
Yes, she was the one that keep the family together.
Yes. And so she had her own business going.
Yes, she used to go into the market area where she go and cook and she sell her food, so that's how she made her living. So she was a good cook in the market. Yeah, and she was also a Christian. Yes. So how did she help you as a child? Well, she helped us by setting respect, because in those days now, when you're speaking to an adult, you have to use Mrs. and Mr. And those was the kind of brought up say that we have respect. When you ask someone something, you say please. Know, if you sit in a seat or a lady come, you get up and give them a seat. That's how the training was. So there was that respect, or to respect, and also to respect the elder. And did she take you to church with her? Like, did she look after spiritual care for the children, for the grandchildren? Yeah, she take us to church when we go to Sunday school. I remember going to Sunday school. I remember even sitting sometimes in the service, and then we would go to the front when they call for the children, and you have hands laid and you have been prayed for, and candlelight service. Remember those things that we partake in as a child.
At Christmas, you mean, or just regular time?
Just regular times. So it does not.
The candlelight.
No, the candlelight is not just when they have those candlelight events.
Special
Special
services.
time, yes.
So did you give your heart to Jesus as a child, or what do you think?
No, I did. I don't think I did give my heart to Jesus at that time.
But then you said there was a moment when you came when you cried unto Him.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what happened? What led to that? Just explain that whole time.
All time. Well, as a growing up at that time, you and being in the ghetto, one of the things that you see, you're kind of concerned what your future is going to be. So I guess growing up with my grandmother led me now to start seeking the Lord. But and I would go and read the Bible. But there's one verse that I always read which was the Psalms 23rd.
23rd Psalm.
Psalms, yes.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Yes. And I read that, and then I would take some time to go and kneel down and pray.
And what was your prayer, Eric?
Well, just thanking God and just and worshiping Him.
So that's what I'm asking you. So were you a Christian then, or you were just doing it?
No, you could say it was a ritual.
It was a ritual.
A religion thing.
Or okay, that's a ritual.
A religion
But
thing.
then there's one time that your heart really cried out to God. Tell us about that desperate cry.
That cry was, I was just walking and I look up to the sky and I said, Lord, if you take me out of Jamaica and to a foreign land, I will serve you. Because I say that because the future, I didn't see any future, and being a young man growing up and being in the ghetto, you don't know where you're going to end up. Mm-hmm. So I just made that cry to get out, that I would leave, because at that time, many of my families already left. They already gone to foreign country, and so there was no family members around. So there's people that you're familiar and connect to wasn't around anymore. So there's like an emptiness.
Mm. And so you felt that the future, like, did you have an idea of what kind of future you're thinking about, or you just know that this can't be it?
Just this can't be it. I need a better life. And plus I didn't have any father brought up, so
yeah.
You don't know where you're going, but you just need to get out. At least you could see something different where you can now have a mindset as to what you want to do with your life. Because being in the ghetto, you can't see that because all you see is crime.
Wow. This is something else, but then to hear him say, he cried unto God. And he says, God, if you're a God, mm-hmm. and if you take me to a foreign land, I will serve you. He knew that there was no future without God, and that is God himself had to rescue you, mm-hmm. because you didn't have a father that was fathering him to rescue him. His mother had issues, so only God he looked to. And somehow a miracle happened, and somebody, how did you find yourself in Canada? What happened? What happened there?
Well, after praying that prayer, a couple of days or a couple of weeks, I met this person, and they were talking to me, and they said they could help me get my visa. So I connected with them, and they helped me to get my visa, and I came to Canada. But the thing is that once I came, I only have one contact with them. I never have any more contact with them. So it's like there was just there to just fulfill that
Must
purpose.
Be an angel. It is amazing. This story need to tell you, whatever situation you're in, God is able. For this young man, just say, God, I ask you, there's no future. It's gunshots, it's violence. I'm living in the ghetto. I don't have a father to groom me. My mother has issues, mental health issues. By then, the grandmother had died too. And so there was no stability, no family. He cried unto God. In Psalm 34:6, it says, this poor man called, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. I am telling you today, when you hear this story, know that God can save you. No matter how hard it is, no matter how vast it is, you're talking about living in a ghetto with gangs and gunshots and seeing gunshots and all kind of thing, execution, and sometimes you are even saying that some of the gangs would walk with a gun and kill people just to gain respect.
Yes.
Right? So want to be known as a murderer so that they can be feared. That is an atmosphere, people of God. A desperate boy cried. You know, that story remind me of when Hagar was running with Ishmael. And the Bible says the boy cried because he was starving and there was no water. And the boy cried, and the Bible says God heard his cry. You know, Hagar, by that time, she had lost all faith. She didn't have any faith, but the boy cried. You know, you might be a child listening to us tonight. I want you to know that when you pray, God hears and he will answer. And this young teenager then, because you were a teenager,
yes.
About 17, 18, or what
yes, yes.
about 17, 18, he cried and God heard and God saved him out of his trouble. He doesn't even know to this day where the person that gave him the visa to leave Jamaica, he ended up in Canada, and even in Canada, God guided him in a path that was prepared for him. And here he is now alive, not shot, and giving God glory. Many of the gang members that he lived with were eventually caught, and some of them ended up into prisons in Jamaica, into New York, all over. And this man in that pit, he was saved by the power of God. So it doesn't matter where you are, God is able to save. Psalm 50 says, call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you will honor me. And Eric, this is what you're doing tonight. You called upon God. He delivered you, and tonight you are giving him honor. And like David, we're saying this is all for the glory of God. Because what I'm sensing here, people, it doesn't matter how bad the situation, it doesn't matter how far gone it is, it doesn't matter what you're surrounded in. There's somebody that is watching me now, even in Thailand, somebody that is watching me from Asia, and you're living in an area now that only God can help you. We think of some of our Chayil leaders that is going into the garbage city in Jakarta, Indonesia, and feeding the people living there. Call upon the Lord and he can answer you, and he can deliver you, he can save you, and you will give him honor. And there's somebody watching tonight. Your testimony will bring God honor. And I want you to write. You need to write and let us know how we can pray for you, how we can agree with you, so that you're not only praying by yourself, but you have people that will be praying for you. People are watching from Thailand, they're watching from across Canada, they're watching from America, they're watching from the islands. We will pray for you. Send us and let us know what the request is. Psalm 91 says, he will call upon me, God called the saying, and I will answer him, and I will be with him, and he will give me honor. People of God, whatever you're going through now, it could be a family thing, it could be a health thing. When you call upon God, he will answer you, he will deliver you, and then you will give him honor. So the reason that God wants to bless you and save you is because your life will bring glory to him. Wow, I am so excited. And this is why the whole Chayil pillars that you're seeing behind us, worship, getting to know God. Jesus Christ is the answer. Jesus Christ is the answer. And once you call upon him, the favor of God will come into your life. And you'll find that even nations will open itself to give you a new life, because there's a new life, a new hope that can happen at any time. Wow, thank you so much, Eric, for sharing and for sharing so you know all these areas of his life with us, because he wants to give God honor and he wants to help somebody tonight. And so even when we are finished with this conversation, I want you to have a watch party. Gather friends around and say, let's look at that. And if there's young people watching this, I want you to write to me so that we can pray and we can share. And if you're desperate, then God can help you. And when you write to us, Chayil@patfrancis.org, you can send an email or you can comment right there on Facebook, right where you are. But let us know how we can pray with you, because with God, all things are possible. And so I want you to know, people of God, that this story has touched my heart to realize that, you know what, with God, all things are possible. And that God hears the cry of a desperate boy. He hears the cry of a desperate girl. He hears the cry of a desperate mother that just can't get out of this by herself. He hears the cry of a desperate father that said, I myself can't help myself. How can I help my children? God is your helper. So call on him today. And we're going to be praying for you when this finishes, because we're believing for you for a miracle. Well, this is very exciting, and next week again, you're going to hear another exciting testimony that's going to bring honor and glory to Jesus Christ. I tell you, Jesus is the answer. He is the creator and he loves you. And maybe you are one of the gang members tonight that need deliverance because you're tired of it, because you know you're going to get killed one day. And you know, because of the lifestyle that you're in, a bullet can reach you at any time. Let God reach you first. And let him cover you and deliver you. Because I am telling you, God must have put a shield around Eric. Bullets are flying all around him, not one touching. God is my shade. I hide under the shadow of the Almighty, and he become my protection. So if you're in a gang and you want out, also write to us, because God is able to deliver you. Well, God bless you, and we'll be praying for you. Remember that you can call us and you can write to us. Make your comments, make your questions, subscribe. Please invite your friend to be a part of our Chayil community. Chayil Glory is the powerful, great glory of Jesus Christ, and it can save you out of any trouble because God is greater. All right? So God bless you, and remember, we are a Chayil generation.